Welcome to this week's episode of The Writer's Room. I'm your host, Tessa Durrell, and today I am joined by Ocali writers Peyton Little and Louisa Clausen. So why don't we start off today's episode with just letting you guys introduce yourselves a little bit.
Yeah, I'll get things started. So my name's Peyton. I'm from Ponca City, Oklahoma. It's kind of a big town, kind of not. You know, it's got a few Braum's, a few Sonic drive-ins, and things like that. But overall, a fun place to grow up. And I'm a multimedia journalism major in my sophomore year.
Thank you for having us. I'm Louisa Clausen, and I'm a multimedia journalism major, and I'm from Brazil, so there's that. And my passion is to write, and that's it.
Yeah. So why did you guys pick OSU as the school you wanted to attend?
Yeah, so growing up, we were OSU fans. Ponca City's just about 45 minutes away from Stillwater. My dad actually attended a tech school called OSU Okmulgee at the time. So a lot of my family are actually OU fans. So that kind of started the OSU fandom in my brother. And as I got older, I remember watching OSU football games. And, when it came to choose my college, it was a no-brainer for me. OSU was just, the dream pick. And, now I'm here.
Your story is a lot better than mine. I just got more scholarships here than I did at OU, so here I am.
So you guys both write for the Ocali. How long have you guys been writing for the Ocali, and why did you decide to start writing for the Ocali?
Yeah, so I got an email from Mary Daniels, one of the advisors at OSU. Yes, both are advisors.
Mine too.
So I got an email from her talking about an Ocali open house, and I didn't get to attend it, but I got to swing by for the first sports meeting. And then from that moment, I just hit the ground running and just started writing for the Ocali, and that's been over a year now. It sounds kind of crazy to think about, but yeah.
I think we started at the same time, kind of. I actually came to the Ocali TV first, but my passion is to write, so I ended up asking around and seeing what I could do with writing, and they told me to find John Helsey, the Ocali's advisor, and he was really, really nice, and I started about a year ago and never stopped.
Awesome. So out of all the stories you have written, do you guys have favorites that you've done?
Yes, I think I can think of one off the top of my head. So my brother had a friend in college named Matthew Smith, was supposed to graduate with him, class of 2021, and then he actually got a cancer diagnosis of leukemia. But he was able to come back from that, and that was one of the coolest stories I got to be a part of, is get to not only talk to a friend of my brother's, but to hear such a cool story of a comeback cowboy getting to pursue his degree in not multimedia journalism, that's me, chemical engineering. And so it's been cool to see him on campus. He actually wears this big orange suit during game days and things like that. So he's really cool guy, even cooler story. So
that's awesome.
Asking me to pick my favorite story is like asking me to pick my favorite kid. But I love the Queen story. I reported on her death, and I love my Buddy Guy story, a jazz singer that came to the McKnight Center. It was really special.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys are both, we actually have classes together.
Yes.
So how does writing for the Ocali help you in the classes and the curriculum that you're being taught here at OSU?
Yeah, I think it made this transition into style and structure, taught by I have Abernathy, a little bit easier. Some of the things that we're taught in that class, you kind of see through lessons you learn through the Ocali, and I say growing pains. I've made a lot of mistakes throughout my time in the Ocali, but I mean, those mistakes have helped me learn, and it actually made that transition into style and structure a whole lot more, painless for me.
Yeah, I agree with Peyton. Style and structure helped me a lot, and I have electronic communications with Max Andrews, and that has helped me figure out a new world in journalism that I wasn't aware before, and I like it a lot.
That's awesome. So you guys are both writers. Where is your dream job, or what is your dream job after you graduate from OSU?
Great question.
That is an excellent question, and if I'm being quite honest, I don't really know the answer right now. I'm just kind of, making my way, building my resume, kind of going throughout and seeing, whatever's on the table, and, God has planned. I think that's just where I'm going to go.
Amen.
Sports writing?
Sports writing, multimedia journalism, production, I'm open to anything that this field has to offer.
He does it all.
So, no, but...
My dream is to work for the New York Times. It has always been, and I don't care if it's in 20 years, if it's in 40 years, as long as it's before I die, I want to work for the New York Times one day.
Yeah. So you said earlier you're from Brazil. So do you have any story as to why you decided on Oklahoma for college?
I was an exchange student during my senior year of high school, and it was a random kind of thing. Host families pick their students, and my host family picked me, and they are from Bartlesville, Oklahoma. And I had a great experience, a great exchange year, and I knew I wanted to come back for college because it was my dream. And so my mom just told me to be close to Oklahoma and my host family. So that's why I picked Oklahoma State.
So go Pokes.
It was random. Yeah, go Pokes.
Well, that's awesome. So we're super excited that you guys are here with us today, and that's about all the time we have here for this segment. But when we come back, we're going to take a look at some of Louisa's other stories and hear a little bit more from her side as to why she chose OSU. So we'll be right back after this break.
My name is James Remedi. Fired Up Stilly is the name of the business, and I'm one of the owners. We all three met, the three owners, working as employees at a similar place like this. What I hope for is for everybody to feel welcome, like family. Not only do I want students to feel welcome to come here and study and use our free Wi-Fi, but also I want adults and families to be able to come in. We've built a connection with a lot of people, and Stillwater's a big community, so we just want to invite everybody to be able to eventually make their way through our doors. Well, definitely the teas, I would say. Most people fall in love with them. They just got a great amount of energy, gets you going through your day, and it just kickstarts you to get, everything you need to done. For myself, it would just have to be, being the owner, owning something that, is able to impact other people's lives, and, the way we can affect our community is something that I really have always wanted to do. We love our clients and our customers that come through every day, and we enjoy getting to know them.
Well, how I got started was my daughter said, "Mama, why don't we rent a booth at the Quarter Horse Show?" And it was very, very good because, when you're giving your jelly away for free, people really do love it. But when you ask them to pay for it, then that's a true test. What makes my product so unique is the Scotch bonnet pepper. And the Scotch bonnet is the Jamaican pepper. And I had lived in Montego Bay, Jamaica for 4 years. So I learned how to handle the pepper and how to cook with it. I always say, you don't do this on your own. I mean, you have so many people that help you along the way. For me and for many of us, that's my name on that jar, and it better be good.
We are back here in the writer's room with Peyton and Louisa, and now we're going to talk to Louisa about her background and why she chose OSU. So you've told me about this picture you have at Paul Miller before you even came to school here. Can you tell me how visiting OSU inspired you and made you want to come here?
Yeah, my host family, they're really OSU fans, and honestly, I had no idea what OSU or OU was or what the love was about. So we came to Homecoming 2019, and I was just blown away by the proportion of people's love for this school and how they admired the school. So I remember we were walking around, and my host mom at the time, she was like, "This is the journalism building," and I looked at her and I was like, it would be a dream to come to school in the US. I would love to, but it will never happen. I mean, it's so expensive that I didn't think it was going to happen. And we took a picture. She was like, "Let's take a picture in case one day it happens," and we did. And so now every time I walk in the journalism building, I'm just like, wow, this is a dream come true.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've gotten to do a lot of cool stories and a lot of big events here at OSU that you get to write about. And one of those was about Miss OSU. So
Yes.
can you give me a little synopsis of that story or what that experience was like for you?
Yes, it was my first pageant ever. I went with my best friend, so that was a fun time. I had no idea what the rules were or what was going on, but the girls were so smart. They were so talented. My job was basically to just tell what was going on. And I got to interview amazing girls, Rachel Davis and Brittany Rain. I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. And of course, I got to interview Miss OSU, Tayton Shelton, and that was a great experience. Yeah.
So what is it like? These are pretty big events. You also got to do the Philharmonic. Have you gotten to do any networking with those experiences? What has that done as far as opening you up to different ideas to write about and different places to go with your career?
Yeah, the Philharmonic story was such a great opportunity. I actually have to thank my colleague from the Ocali, Jaden. He's the one who let me go in his place because I didn't know it was happening. And I actually ended up sitting next to the New York Philharmonic publiciter, and I got to interview her, and that just opened my eyes. I mean, I'm passionate about New York. I want to live in New York, and just going there, listening to great music and seeing great professionals was incredible. And writing the story I could hear the music while I was still writing, and it was just beautiful.
Yeah. So this can be a question for both of you guys, but how does getting to cover these extraordinary events change how you look at different stories as you go along?
Wow, good question.
That's
Here
a
you
hard
go.
one. So for me, it's just kind of surreal, just to get to see these events play out and then having to think differently, like, okay, this is a moment I can write about, or this is something that might be interesting that people want to know. You learn to kind of like pinpoint, even in quotes is what I've noticed.
Yeah.
You can tell like this is going to be like headline material, or this is, it might be a little tougher to formulate a story on it. But yeah, it makes you look at events from a completely different angle in that sense of things.
I think we get good at noticing details too, and just writing about those details, making the story different. Because if we're writing reviews all the time, then like, okay, what's different about that? Or like covering events, what's different about that? So it helps us realize details. And like Peyton said, I notice good quotes now way faster than I did last year.
What's it like getting, just in this last like 30 seconds, what's one skill or one word that describes something you've gotten really strong at from getting to do these different things?
Grammar.
I'd say courage, having to walk up to people and just ask them questions. Like a year
Yes.
ago, I don't know if I would have had the courage to walk up and do that.
That
Yeah.
is true.
That's awesome.
That is true.
So next we're going to take a look at some of Peyton's work, but that's all the time we have here for this segment. We'll be right back in the writer's room.
Hi, I'm Shauna here at Where the Buffalo Roam in beautiful downtown Pawnee, Oklahoma. We have a lot of beautiful and unique items for sale in the store, but our number one items are Navajo jewelry, Pendleton blankets, and Consuela. It's a great place to shop, a beautiful downtown, so come see us in Pawnee, Oklahoma.
Pecans are staple to Oklahoma. In fact, many of our native pecans come from trees that are older than Oklahoma statehood.
My father's the one that got us started into the pecan picking. I was probably 10 or 12 years old, and we started off with one little mechanical picker that you pulled behind a four-wheeler. Then we'd go home at night and we'd clean them on a TV tray. I guess watching my dad work hard when we were young, and people started trusting him and getting more and more groves, we just kept growing.
Being a relatively new and fresh company, we get to sit in the same room with people who have been a part of the Oklahoma economy for decades.
It's opened a lot of doors. It's gave us quite a bit of exposure, and I think people, will take a small company like us a little more serious. We're just going to continue growing as long as our community lets us and our customers keep on buying, and we'll see where it takes us.
We are back here in the writer's room, and now it's time to take a look at some of Peyton's work. Peyton, each week during the football season, you have an iconic story of the uniform update. So can you give us a little synopsis and summary of what that story is like?
Yeah, so to start off, it was just mainly like, oh, here's how many times they wore this, here's what they wore, this is what it looked like. And I was like, well, if you look at the picture, you read the article. So I wanted to do something new with it. So this year I've tried to add in student quotes, like what they thought of it, the look of it. Some random stats, how many times they've worn it, the last time they've worn it. And now, and I'm very excited I get to do this now, is the Ocala uniform ranking. I get to do that each week and give it like from a scale of F to A, like what I think of it. And so that's been fun having to formulate that, especially right after you go to those games and you've seen them in person. What do they look like in pictures? All these factors that go into those uniform rankings.
Yeah, so what does that story mean to you? It's something it's not repetitive, but it's something you get to come back to each week. So what kind of weight does that hold with you?
Yeah, it's like an old friend, I get to see it every week, and getting to do it last year and then getting a chance to go and do it this year, it's kind of, during sports meetings, it's funny. Sometimes I'll walk in and when we're delegating stories, my name's already written by the uniform slot. But no, it's fun. I'm a big football guy, and it's, the uniforms are definitely something that, while subtle, people take notice of. Like, I think that definitely makes the experience of a football game. A lot of people on social media and even in the stands, take notice of what logo are they wearing, what colors, how does this match, what would this look like with this, and the speculation is the fun part with that too.
Yeah, we get to talk about it every Thursday almost. I always ask you, and how much homework goes into figuring out or guessing what uniform they're going to wear, and even the background you have on each uniform as far as how many losses and whatnot for each uniform. What is that like? What's the preparation like for you?
I'd love to say that's off the cuff. I have a collection of pictures. When I first started this, I'm like, this is going to be a big project. I'm going to have to keep this updated. So I have a collection of pictures from 2016. That's when they first updated the uniforms to now, 2022. And I'll go through and I'll pick out, okay, they lost this game, they won this game, they've done this. Last time they wore this was this day, and I'll just go through and I'll pinpoint that and find it. Like I said, I'd love to say it's off the cuff, but I kind of have a cheat sheet with me. But yeah, it's just a fun experience getting to sort through those pictures and then almost get a little superstitious with your predictions sometimes. Trying to pick out like, oh, okay, well they lost last time they wore this. Are they going to do it again? We'll see. And so it's also part of a mystery, but it's all in fun. It's something that it doesn't affect the terms of the game, but it affects the atmosphere and overall fan experience. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome story too, because not just sports fans can find interest in that. It kind of bridges a gap between lifestyle stories and sports stories. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean to you that you can kind of reach a vast audience with this piece? It's
fun. Like I said, a lot of people take notice of it, and that kind of probably kick-started my interest in writing for lifestyle, which I do now. Like not huge sports fans will reach out to me and talk about the uniforms like, well, I don't think this look looks good, or I think they could have done this better. Shout out to my mom. Every week will text me, I liked these look great on TV. It's like, these could use some work. So even any fan can just get involved with the uniforms, like even if you know the most about, who the third string quarterback is for the OSU Cowboys, or if you're just there to have a good time, anyone can talk about the uniforms, and that's what makes it so fun and accessible. It's a people thing.
Yeah, each week now, Louisa knows I look at uniforms now because of reading your pieces. So Louisa, as a fan, how do stories like this pique your interest in sports?
Oh, I think it's fantastic because I'm not interested in sports or anything, but seeing Peyton do this is amazing. It's so interesting, and I love a good uniform. That's the first thing I say when I go to the games, and I love that he's doing that. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and these pieces, that are repetitive, what kind of lessons do you get to learn with that? What different keys are there to making sure it's good each time, fresh each time?
Well, it's one of those things, like I said, you learn from failure, and so it's something you can just kind of perfect as you go about it. I like to think I have a pretty good idea of what they look like now, but the repetition is nice and it's not. So you try not to get caught up in the monotony. There's only so many ways you can say they wore this. So you got to get creative, and it's like a challenge almost. It's fun to get to think of different words from a grammar perspective, like you said. Get to think of different things, like how can I word this differently to make people more interested in it.
Each time, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's all the time we have for this segment, but we will be right back after this break for our final segment of today's episode of The Writers' Room.
I'm Kristen Hawkins. I went to Oklahoma State University here in Stillwater in 99 to 2004. I've always felt like Stillwater needed more family-friendly things to do, and we have opened up AR Workshop. We do everything from knitting blankets that can be done in a 3-hour class. We create doormats and porch signs, the Christmas wreaths with our yarn that we use for the blankets. We also do, we just started a new project for gnomes, and we've done pumpkins during the fall. But our big thing that we do here are interior signs. Our designs are extremely unique to AR Workshop. Customers come in, everything is here for them to do. They create everything. They can be as hands-on as they want. They came in here to relax and have fun, and that they are proud of their project that they've made.
Ace in the Bowl salsa started many, many years ago. I was trying to find a recipe to take to a family gathering, and so I started messing around with different recipes, and I took a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and I came up with a salsa that is truly unique. Ace in the Bowl salsa is an olive oil-based salsa with tomatoes, green chilies, green onions, and black olives. There's no sugar added, it's gluten-free, low calorie, low carb, low fat, low sodium. So it's a very, very, very good alternative to any snack you may want. As of right now, I'm just looking to be in Oklahoma and having a successful business within the state. If my grandkids could ever take it over when they're old enough, that would be my dream.
We are back, and it is time for our final segment of today's episode. So we're going to talk about OSU football. Now, Luisa, coming from Brazil, what was it like getting to watch college football in America in the stands being a student?
Football is not a thing in Brazil. We're big soccer fans. And so when I got here, one, I didn't understand a thing of what was going on. So there's that. And two, I think I started watching high school football and then starting to watch college football. It was such a big change. I like going to the games just because of the atmosphere, the fun. It's so loud. But I still don't understand football. Maybe just a little bit, but.
Are you learning?
I'm learning. My boyfriend and my best friend are doing a good job keeping me updated. Yeah.
Are you having fun at the games?
I have a lot of fun.
That's what matters.
Yes, I actually have fun looking at their uniforms. That's what brings me joy.
So where do you guys get to watch the games from? Are you both in the student section? What is that like for you? What's your experience like at football games?
Yeah, so I actually sit in the 200 level. I kind of go up a little bit. And on my way up to the 200 level, I usually see Luisa every time. So I sit with my brother and a few of my friends from Ponca, and then my roommates. And so it's a nice experience. I get to go with my brother every time. He lives in not in Oklahoma anymore, so it's nice to, get to travel up and, you get to hang out for a little bit, some brother time. So, yeah.
I go with the same group of friends every weekend. We go to a tailgate before, and then we usually get to the gate 2 hours before the game starts, which to me is really early. And we stay there, and it's really, really fun. We have a good time.
Yeah. What's the craziest part of the fan aspect of college football?
It's just how much everybody actually loves that. It's just, to me, that's crazy. And I think it's beautiful too. It's crazy and beautiful at the same time. And people really get frustrated. Mm-hmm. I love looking around and everyone was like, and I'm like, it's okay, it's okay.
You're like, it's just a game. It's just a game, guys. So Peyton, you get to write about the uniforms every week. How does that change how you watch each game? Does it affect your fan experience?
Yeah, actually, so if you've been to a game before, you know that the cellular in there is not great, so you can't really connect to the phone. So I'm constantly waiting. Right as the gates open, about an hour or so before kick, they announce the uniforms because, fans are in the stadium now, and I'm like, I got to see what these are, on Twitter. And so sometimes my cellular doesn't always load. So, you find out in person before you find out on social media.
That's exciting.
No, but it's fun, yeah. You get to that feel of anticipation not only for the uniforms but for the kickoff too. It's a great day. I love game days in Stillwater.
I do too.
Yeah. Does your group that you go with, do they read your uniform update? Are they there to tell you if you're wrong or right on the guess?
They like to point out when I'm wrong, I'll tell you that. But I haven't been right too often this year, so I guess we haven't experienced that yet. But yeah, they definitely are able to poke fun at me whenever I'm not right, which has been every single time this year. But
am I able to ask what you're thinking we're going to be wearing this weekend?
Okay, so I actually looked this up before I got here. I wanted to make sure. So they have a tendency to wear gray pants in Lawrence, Kansas. So I think they're going to wear black helmets with the brand because I just wore cursive.
Love black helmets.
White shirts, jerseys, and then they're going to wear gray pants. This is what I think they're going to do.
Look at you.
Now, have they done what I thought they would do? Absolutely not. But that's what I think they're going to roll with for this week at least.
Yeah. Do you think the uniform has anything to do with how they perform?
A lot of coaches are superstitious, but as far as it's gone, I can't tell. The one they just wore at Kansas State, which we don't have to talk about, they don't usually perform well in those, and so I thought it was interesting because the last time they wore those, they actually lost in Manhattan, and so I thought it was interesting they chose to go with that. So as far as actual play, probably not. As far as coincidences, absolutely yes.
In your mindset, yes.
Yes, in my brain, it's like, okay, what they wear depends on if they're going to wear it or not.
Do they have a stylist?
They have equipment managers to help them choose which ones.
Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
actually sure who chooses that. I want to go talk to the people at the
Yes,
equipment
that'd be
center.
a great
Figure it out.
story.
Yeah.
You
That's
could
how
do it.
writer's mind work.
Yes, exactly. So do you think the uniforms have anything to do with how they perform?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're feeling confident in what you're wearing, then
It's everything.
it's everything.
Everything.
It's everything. And it makes a great game to watch, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So this is one of my favorite parts of the show. Time for score predictions. So what do you guys think is going to happen this weekend?
I think it's gonna be close. You know, Kansas has been kind of scrappy this year, and especially if Jalen Daniels comes back for Kansas, their quarterback, he was lighting it up before he got injured. I think that the Cowboys are gonna respond after last week's game, and I think they'll respond pretty well. I'm gonna go 31-27 Cowboys.
Look at you.
I have no scientific base in this. Like, I have no no idea. But I think it's going to be a 37-24, and it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I said 35-21. Now I
We're close.
will refuse to not pick OSU, so
Yes.
I picked OSU. So hopefully it's, we'll get this. Now, what do you guys think the Cowboys can carry over from last game into this game that'll help them hopefully come out with a victory?
Boy, that's a hard one because there wasn't much to see in that last game, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I think whenever you get kind of embarrassed like that on a national stage, you're going to want to respond with some fire, especially with, how they're getting treated nationally right now. They've been under a lot of scrutiny. And so I think they're going to respond with a little bit of a fire in their gut. I think we're going to see a lot more of a scrappy Cowboy team in Lawrence this week.
I agree with Peyton.
Yeah.
And I agree with Peyton, and hopefully our quarterback will do better than he did last game.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, as fans, what are you guys doing this weekend? Are you guys going to Kansas to watch? What's the plans?
So last week I went home. I won't be doing that this time. I think I'll be staying here in Stillwater. So the Cowgirls actually play a tennis tournament this weekend. So I'll be sharing some time watching that and watching the Kansas game. I'll probably staying home, maybe go to the dorm or the apartment a little bit, watch with the roommates, and
Yeah, I can't really escape watching football, really. And so I think I'll either be at home with my friends and roommates, or I'll be in Bartlesville with my family, my host family.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. It's been so
yeah.
much fun getting to talk with you guys about all of this, and hopefully go Pokes this weekend. We get
Go
away with
Pokes.
the win. So you can find more of their stories on Ocali.com. Of course, you can find Peyton's uniform update, and Louisa always has stories coming out. You can even find more student work on the Ocali with the eColly and Ocali TV. But that's all we have for today's episode. But don't forget to join us next week in the Writers' Room.
My name's Kayla. I've been here since the beginning, so 4 years. Scratch is more focused on farm and mostly made in Oklahoma products, keeping it local. Sustainability is our biggest thing. That's one of the reasons why this place opened.
I've been the chef here at Scratch for 2.5 years. Started here as a line cook. Our food and drinks are a bit separate entities almost inside the restaurant. So the food is now up to 85% of the products we bring in are raised or grown locally. It's all based off of things that I grew up eating in Southern Oklahoma, the things my grandparents ate.
Fresh food, clean food, organic food, sustainability, that's all of our thing. From front of house to back of house, we're able to maintain both with freshness. But made in Oklahoma means we get it straight from the farms that are 20, 30 minutes, another little county away. We get it straight from them.
Hopes are when folks drink our water is that they'll drink it for a few days and find out the difference. They'll start feeling better because there's been no chemical in our water. There's a list of good things that we have. We don't have any bad things in it. I see the future of Divine Water as being worldwide, which will bring outside dollars into the state. It means a lot to me because I started it, I guess, and our family started it.